Okay, so I'm going to summarize some of the key points that we talked in our mastermind about mortgage investment corporations versus private investors when you're advising to a client of yours. Uh, a few notes first. Regulators' main concern is protecting the investor and the borrower, not necessarily the broker. Number two, always when advancing on a private mortgage, make sure it is beneficial for the borrower, not because you can get an approved on a private or with a mortgage investment corporation means that you should do the deal. Always make sure that it's beneficial for the borrower because this might be expensive financing. And remember, this is short-term financing. This is not intended to be a long-term solution. Always add in your notes the exit strategy when you're submitting to the private investor or to the MIC. Show the exit strategy again because this is short-term financing and not long-term, and also help the borrower implement the plan to bring them from that private or MIC into the B or the A side. Super important, and this is protection for you. Have everything documented in writing, all the conversations, the solution, why you couldn't put them into a B or an A deal, because if you get audited in the future, or the client recollection of events may be different. So have it in writing, and some agents and brokers at the mastermind recommended that even you send that document to the borrower so you're both on the same plan. Now let's look at some of the differences between a MIC and a private individual. Number one, legal structure here. A MIC is basically a fund with a lot of mortgages, and it's a corporation managed by professionals, so it has more professionalism involved. A private individual deals more with emotions. They are going to be making the decisions. Sometimes they don't have the capacity to do right decisions, even though they may have a lot of money. So have that in mind because that could come back and haunt you. Okay. Second one, pooling of funds. Basically, a MIC, you get money from different investors into a fund, and that's where the money is coming from. On an individual, it depends on his own cash. Okay, and remember, for example, this is important. A renewal, let's say 1 year goes out, a MIC most likely very easy to renew for another year, for another term. With a private individual, that might not be the case, and you may hurt your reputation because if you cannot renew into another 6 months or 1 year because the private individual financial situation changed, now you have to start all over again with fees, legals, and everything else. So be careful about that. Number three, professional management. Again, with a MIC is professionally managed, the mortgage. With a private individual, a lot of private individual, they don't have professional management on their mortgages. So that means that if the borrower wants a statement or some certain certification, you have to go to the private individual, and that can create a lot of concerns for both the borrower and hassle for the private individual and for you, the broker. So have that in mind. Perhaps talk to a mortgage management company. Okay, regulation. MICs are very regulated, similar to private individuals. In reality, MICs have a little bit more oversight because they're more public available. Private individuals is very difficult because maybe the regulators don't have all the resources to go and manage that. Only when there is trouble, then they will look into the details of the mortgage. And risk and return. MICs, because it's diversified into a fund, has a little bit less risk. And when you're lending the money on your own or with a private individual, there is the possibility there is more risk because the individual doesn't know how to underwrite the deal, because maybe he will accept a higher loan to value or something like that, and it will cause more risk. And remember, always explain to your clients that there is two sets of legals. The clients or the borrowers have to pay for the legals for their own and the legals for the private individual or the MIC. Also, there is broker's fees. Sometimes there's lender fees. Make sure that whoever you're dealing with will be able to renew in 1 year if the plan doesn't go according to plan. And always, this was very good advice given by one of the agents that attended the mastermind. It is a very good practice, not only to show the interest rate, but the actual cost of funds. So you include everything in that calculation, not only the interest for a year, but all the broker, lender fees, lawyer fees, any other admin fees or anything that the private individual or the MIC is going to charge, so they can really compare it versus the interest rate. If you want more information, knowledge, learning to become a pro, come to our mastermind. I'm going to leave the link before, and also follow us on, or follow me on Instagram. I'm going to have the link before. All the best.